Rogers, and welcome to Power Hour. This is our weekly show, Wednesdays at 11, and we cover topics having to do with just a lot of different things, SharePoint, Office 365. I'm not a programmer, so we cover pretty non-technical topics, but there's always a lot going on and a lot changing and updating. Even before, SharePoint Online was a thing and we were using SharePoint on premises, we still did these every single week, and there's just so much to SharePoint, so much to cover. So this week, and also if you are a member of my newsletter that I send out before Power Hour, you can vote on a topic. So I usually just put like 3 different topics to click on. So I've started doing that in the last 3 weeks or so. But the topic you all voted for overwhelmingly today was the new web parts and vertical sections on SharePoint pages. So we'll be going over that. And let's see, Joelle, let me see. I have Joelle Jobson here as well, but Skype is not behaving. So it's always something with this technology. So Skype is not behaving, but she's in here. She's in the chat. So you all say hi, and we use Slack for our chat. And so that's one of the fun things about it being a live show is that it's just ad hoc and it's live, and we just kind of chat and talk, and people ask questions and things all throughout in the little Power Hour channel over here in Slack. And so I will go ahead and get started. New web parts came out. So it's not just a few new web parts, it's a few new web parts and a few updates and updated web parts, and a few things just here and there. So I put a link in the general channel to the Microsoft blog post that was talking about all the new web parts. So over in the general channel is usually where I just put like general links and things like that having to do with Power Hour, and then the Power Hour channel, that's where we chat. And so I put a link to it, but I'll go ahead and do a demo of somebody says, why aren't I using Teams? Well, I've been using Slack since before Teams existed, and I just hadn't switched over. And it just seemed like quite an undertaking, and Slack is always just work. But maybe at some point, I'll if I have some spare time, I'll switch us over to using Teams for these. But I don't know. I kind of like the ability to. I've got 2,000 people or so in this Power Hour channel. So at first I was kind of like I didn't want to have 2,000 guest accounts in my tenant. So that's the first reason for not using Teams for this. It just seems like it would be a mess. But so that, I don't know. I like the ability that y'all have to just kind of log into Slack anytime you want, and me not have to worry about having to manage all that in my tenant. So I don't know, maybe. All right. Okay, so web parts. Let me go ahead and switch over to share my desktop. Yay, it behaved this time. All right, so there's my desktop. So here is the link. That's that blog post about all the new web parts. So I'll move that out of the way. And then we will go to SharePoint. So one of the things that I had for you all to vote on was this concept of this site swap. And a few people didn't know what it was. I just kind of briefly mentioned it in the email that I sent out with the voting, was that the site swap is having to do with the root site, like your root site of your tenant, like this. This is my tenant. It's called Wonderlaura. So the root site is, I've had this tenant for years, like at least 6 years. So this was an old classic site, but there wasn't, so these new communication sites came out, and you usually want to have your intranet done as a nice, lovely communication site. But up until now, there hasn't been really a way to switch it out and actually replace your whole root site. So that was what I actually did that on here on my on this tenant, and I replaced my root site with just a brand new one. So this is actually a brand new site, doesn't even really have any content in it. So I was going through, trying out some of the web parts on this one. So yeah. All right, so this is a page, and this is the first one I started with. Now the countdown isn't necessarily a new web part, but this concept that it has on it is this call to action. So there are a lot of different settings. Let's see, I can add a description. This is about... There are a lot of different settings, of course, in the web part settings. It tells you what you want to count down to. You have a call to action. So this concept of a call to action is it's not a new concept, but it's a new thing that they're adding in a lot more places in a lot of the web parts. So the countdown has a call to action. I actually do have a live class coming up, and this kind of startled me, and I realized, oh yeah, it's 11 days. That's not very far. So that's coming up pretty soon, my live advanced class. So you have the call to action text and call to action link in a lot of places that we'll talk about. So this is kind of neat how it has the overlay color. And it reminds me of my website, my IW Mentor website. That web platform has a lot of the same concepts like call to action. So, okay, so this web part is a button. This is one of the new ones. It is... it just sticks a button on the page. So it's really, really simple. And I'll show you what it looks like when I go here to add a web part. You can see, the whole list, and you can search them. So I can see button and call to action. Those are two new web parts. So there's two separate things that I'll show you. All right, so button is this web part, and it's really simple. It's just going to put a button, and you tell it what you want it to be a link to, and then you just type what you want it to say, and you put it and you align it. That's it. And then the button color is based on the site theme account. So watch this site theme accent color. So watch this. When I move it, or when I change my background color, it actually changes it to have a good contrast there. So when I change the background of the section, it changes the color. And then if I move this web part to another section that's white background, it changes back to a dark color. So that's the button web part. And then the call to action is this one. The call to action is there's more to it than just a button. It's just more like a fancier button. But it gives you the ability to have a background, which is going to show all the way across, and type what you want the button label to say. So the button label is, you could put like click here, something like that. And then the button link is where do you want it to take them when they click on it, and you can align the whole thing. And then for this text right here, you actually type it in the web part. So it's a little awkward that this web text is in a different place than the other text. This is extra stuff. So the only way you can really tell when you look at it that one is a button is when you hover over it. Obviously, you can tell the cursor changes. So you could make your button say something like click here, which makes it more obvious. So yeah, no image option for button, but the thing about buttons and images is that the image web part can do the exact same thing. So why would you need an image for a button? So a couple of other options would be that you could just have an image. And I'm going over this because it's important to kind of see what your options are when it comes to just why to use different web parts. So let's see, I'll put this picture. And this is a very large image, and it actually automatically filled itself up in whatever section that I put it on in the page. So if I make my section smaller, but you can do a link. So if I want an image that is a link, I'll just do an image web part. Or another way I could do the exact same thing is the quick links. So quick links give you the ability to do, it's got like 100 different ways that you can do the settings in the quick links web part. So, and one of them is going to be give you the ability to do, for some clicking around really fast, you add your links and then you can make each link be an image too. So that's another way to do images. So just because the button doesn't give you an image doesn't mean there isn't a way to make a clickable image. All right, so that's the call to action that I just went over. And then world clock is another one. Let me go over here and add it over here. And then I'll talk about the vertical section thing in a second. World clock. And let's see, this is where I live. And then you can put multiple locations. And then I also have world time, what's the difference? I'm not sure. We will see. World time looks more like a clock, and it just gives you the ability to pick a time zone. So I'm in Central Time. Interesting. All right. So yeah, so the world clock gives you multiple locations. The weather also gives you the ability to do multiple locations. Like that. Let me put this in a different web part. Let me see. Take this weather and move it over here. So now they're kind of going across. So Joelle's over in Atlanta, Texas. No, all right. So then you can add multiple weathers. So you can have locations and times. You can put multiple locations. You can have just a clock. You can have weather. Stocks was another one. The stock one, if you remember it, we had a power hour where we went over the SharePoint starter kit. The starter kit had some extra web parts in it too, and it actually had a stock ticker that was one of those kind of similar concept web parts. All right, Jamie said, can we do anchors now? Joelle, am I missing any question? Wait, let me see. Anchors. What do you mean by anchors? I'm not sure off the top of my head what that is. That like a bookmark kind of concept? All right. Few more other changes. Button, world clock, weather. Okay, so the hero web part's got some updates. So I went ahead and added a hero web part because I went through the trouble of just, putting all the images and links for everything. So that's kind of tedious. But I went ahead and added this hero web part, as you can see. And they've added a slightly new change to it. So when I do 5 tiles, and you might have noticed this was already in here, when I have like this big image over here, it has this call to action. So look, so I added 5, so I actually have to add 2 more links to it. But it's got a call to action on, sorry, keep scrolling down, on the big one. Show call to action link. So there's that call to action thing again. So you can actually make your call to action link do something different. And that, to me, that's a little confusing. I'm kind of curious what you all think. That the call to, each tile is a link, but then the call to action can be a different link. So I'm going to test this really quick. So to me, that would be odd that one thing will happen when you click on the image, and a different thing will happen if you click on that specific link down there. So now I haven't put the call to action link in it yet. So when I click on this image, it just takes me to this other page, which is fine. And then go back. And then this call to action, the call to action doesn't have a link on it. So when I clicked it, it just took me to the same page. But if I go in here and go edit my page again, I keep having to scroll down. down to this one. Again, this is the hero web part, and I can edit each little image in it. Then when I go to the call to action link, I can add that there. And then when people click on the tile versus the link, they'll be taken somewhere different. So like I click learn more and it just takes me to Bing. So you could put a different link, which I don't know if y'all can think of what I'm not sure what the use case would be. Craig said, could you have results on one page and a call to action to vote? I don't know. It just seems, I mean, it's just another option that you have. I guess it can't hurt. But that is what that does, is the call to action does a different thing. But the new thing is not that. The new thing is, so let me show you when you have 5 in my hero, go back down to my hero. All right, when I have 5 links, each of these other links does not have a call to action, right? So watch this. When I change it, I'm going to change my hero web part settings to only have 3 tiles. And now with only like the bigger tiles, so all of my bigger tiles now have the call to action link on it. So I can put additional text at least, and possibly in another link if I want to, for those. Yeah. So that's yeah, so that's the change to the hero web part. Let's see. And then we have there's a thing called LinkedIn Elevate that they mentioned in this blog post, which sounded interesting. I'm not sure how it fits in with the web part concept. I tried to go to the site and tried to try it out, and it was a little odd because it didn't actually give you a way to try it out or sign up for it or anything like that. It was just it was weird. So it looks intriguing, like an interesting concept where you can have news from somewhere else maybe showing in SharePoint, but I'm kind of not really sure. I guess it's on this Microsoft blog post because it's just another new thing to add to the list of new things. All right, so we also have our news web part. So I'll go ahead and do, you know what, so it doesn't keep scrolling and scrolling, I'm going to create a brand new page and just put the news web part on that one. So the news web part basically has a new layout. So I'll go ahead and pick, I'll just pick recommended for current user just so it'll have some data in there. And then the new layout is tiles. So you can make your news web part now look just like the hero web part. What do y'all think about that? Yeah, Cassie, that's that same link that I just posted over in the general channel. Yeah, I'm not sure, Susan, why why Power Hour's blocked. We can look into that later. I don't think it's ever done that. Yeah, all right. So that is a lovely way to have, so in, up till now, to be able to have this nice, pretty hero web part look, it was always just using the hero web part and it's all just static images. So instead of having to always have static images, now you can actually use the news web part and have it look like the hero, but those are actually dynamic and those are pieces of news. So that's pretty interesting. Same, all the rest of the concepts are the same things that the news web part already did. Just like being able to reorganize things and change their order, but it's just a different way of looking at it. Like you can change the number of tiles. like that, just like the hero. Do you all like that? Is that something that, to me, that seems like that's something that was needed because people like, I mean, just to be able to have more dynamic content show up at the top of the homepage without having to go edit the homepage, just have the news change up there. All right. Yeah, I like the new news. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to flip over to, let's see, we've got another web part to talk about or two, but I'm going to flip over to this concept of the new vertical section. All right, so I just created this page and there's nothing on it. And I'm going to make sure I delete everything. So there's nothing. Let me delete everything on this page. Delete, and we'll start all over. And we're just going to just use this bare bones page just so that you can see this concept of the vertical sections. And have y'all noticed the new footer too? That's, I think, finally rolled out to a good bit of tenants, the footer that you can edit. Dobina, it was the news web part, and it was just a different layout of the news web part. That was, I think it was called Tiles or Hero, something. I don't even remember what it was called. It's in the article too. All right. Okay, so we already have the ability to add sections. Now I'll show you a little buggy thing that I found. So the first thing I tried was a full width section, because sometimes you want to put a full width section to be able to have something like the hero web part at the very top of your page. But the weirdness is that when you have a full width section on your page, you can't do a vertical section at all. So if you see this grayed out on your page, it's probably because you have one of those, not just the one column, but the full width, and the one that goes all the way across the entire screen. So I delete my full width section. I can just put a regular one column section like this, and I'll just add something really quick to it. There, I just stuck a highlighted content web part on there with all sites there. Okay, just so we'll have something on the page. Okay, so then we have the vertical section is also here when it says add a new section, and that will, where did it go? That will disappear when you do it. Oh no. Oh, that is so weird. Look what it did. It put it down here. It's not supposed to do that. Hold on. Let me, I think I might have confused it with all my adding the full width section and removing it and all that stuff. I think I confused the heck out of that vertical section. So it was supposed to be vertical, not horizontal. That was odd. Okay. I'm going to try that again. Or I might create a new page. We'll see. Okay. New vertical section. It did it again. That's fun, huh, Joelle? New page. So it's brand new, so maybe it's still a little buggy. But if it goes across your page, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to go vertically. Oh, it's doing it on this page too. That is not normal. That is so weird. Joelle and I tested this, and it was not doing that before. Oh my goodness. Maybe it's because I've got my my browser. I thought maybe it was like my browser was full screen or something odd like that. That is so weird. Does that happen? Is that happening to anybody else? Let me go back to my home page. Where are news articles stored? Those are when you create when you go new and you do news posts. And those are all just in the site pages library. All right. I'm going to remove my countdown. I might just, I mean, if this just keeps acting up, because that was one of the main things we wanted to demo. If this keeps acting up, we might just demo it in a different tenant because it is being very weird. Let me just go to a different site. They did add a new concept. Have y'all noticed this new concept where you can actually, it's got a little copy button where you can copy entire sections and copy web parts as well, which is a big time saver. Okay, let me go over to this other site. Okay, so this is sites/IWM brand. So let me see if it's misbehaving too. Yeah, that is so weird. It wasn't doing that literally an hour ago when Joelle and I were planning this out. So this is the vertical section, except it's supposed to be vertical. I wonder what happens when I put something in it. Because see, this is vertical. It's supposed to be showing down the side of the page. I wonder what will happen when I update it, if it will put it in the right place. Gotta love live demos. No, it just put it down here. I'll just go to my other tenant. Okay, let me see. Good thing I've got a bunch of these things. Okay, IW Mentor. Okay, let me go to my little test site in here. I gotta remember what it is. Sorry about that. And Joelle, I'd be curious to see if that same thing is happening to you on that same tenant, because I know it wasn't doing that before. All right. I'll go to some random site in here. And this is not a communication site. No, it did it too. Look, it's a different tenant, and it added it a vertical section horizontally. It's got to be something with my browser or something like that. Maybe it's you think it's my resolution? I'm going to test that out, because that's what's different between when I was doing it earlier and it was working, and now. This is fun troubleshooting, right? All right. I'm going to put my resolution back to what I had it at before when it was working. I don't know why the resolution of my computer would make a difference, but now let me stop. Joelle, I'm going to hang up that Skype call. There. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Go back to this. Okay, so now I'm back to my regular resolution. Oh yeah, look, it's over on the right now. It's over on the right. So it was because I had my actual computer monitor resolution cranked way down just for screen sharing purposes, because now you all can't really read anything or see as much of what's going on with it like this. But yeah, that's what it was. Very interesting. Okay, I'll go back to my root site. Go back to the page I was on. Change my monitor to portrait mode. I'll just take the whole monitor and just turn it. Okay. That was fun. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that other page that I was originally going to show you this on. Okay, edit the page and add a section. Okay, so you can see that this is the vertical section I added earlier. So we'll do it again. You can only add one vertical section. So the horizontal sections, you can keep adding going down the page. And activity, I don't have any site activity, but the vertical section you can only add once. So I'll add a vertical section and then it puts it over here. And then I can so then what would be awkward would be if you had a, so this is my vertical section. The only thing I can do with it is change the color, but it would be awkward if you had a regular section like this. Let me go edit that one. I don't want to edit the one on the right. I want to edit this one. And then having one of those sections that's got 3 columns in it and then having a vertical section, that one seems like it looks a little weird. You'd think you'd want to just have the 1 column section and then the vertical section. So I can change the color. These are going to be the colors from just my own theme, just like all the other, you know, just like the section colors have always been. And then so then that color is going to go all the way down. So even if I add more sections down the page, that vertical section just follows and goes down the page just, and it's always going to be on the right of all those ones that I stack down the page. Yeah, so the vertical, the only option is on the right. And the only settings are to change the color of it and delete it and just keep adding. So you're just going to keep adding web parts going down. So like here's one of those new button web parts. I'm surprised that this one didn't change to white like it did a minute ago when I was testing that. Oh yeah, there it did. So once I put an actual link in it, it changed to white. So that makes sense. Okay, so then you could put, you know, a list of quick links down the side or anything like that. So then, so now I have, this is a section that's got 2 columns. This is a section that's got 3 columns. So then really I'll have 4 columns, but then all the web parts are going to stack just down vertically, down in each of these little sections. So you're not ever going to be putting web parts next to each other. You're always stacking the web parts down one on top of the other down inside of each section. Yes, the vertical is global to the whole page and not vertical per each horizontal section. Yeah. And you can also duplicate web parts now and duplicate entire sections, which seems to be like it'll be pretty time saving to be able to do that. And I can just go add web parts just here and there, Bing Maps. And there's my Bing Map. There's my followed sites. That's not new. It's one that I don't think I use often enough, but that seems useful for the logged in user to just see a list of the sites they're following. Maybe your followed sites could be put over here on the right, but probably people will use quick links a lot for listing stuff down the page like that. So quick links are going to be the best one for that. I have one configured somewhere. I have a demo that we did when we were talking about the lookbook a few weeks ago, and we did the lookbook and we talked about all those different templates that they have, and you could just go Bing it, SharePoint lookbook, and it shows all these examples of pages and a lot of pretty ways that people use the quick links web part. All right, now it's time for the new content query web part. Yeah, Lisa, I guess the vertical section's responsiveness is to add itself to be horizontal if your resolution is weird like mine. I'll go ahead and publish this. They also noticed that they added an undo button up here. So you can also use Control Z. So undo is not something that's ever been on web pages. I guess maybe in a wiki page, if you were typing on it in the old kind, you could click undo. But now there's actually an undo for, you know, whatever changes you're making to the web part page. Let's see. Yeah, the vertical section definitely drops down below everything when your resolution is odd. Okay, so let's talk about, this is a pretty ugly site so far. Let's talk about the changes to the highlighted content web part. And Joelle actually has a lot of insight. It's frustrating that we couldn't get the audio to work in Skype. Can just call you on the phone or something. I wonder if, no, see, we never, well, the Skype's the only technology we've ever used for, you know, having you talking in Power Hours. So I'm not sure any other one would, you know, pass your voice across. But we were chatting about this before Power Hour, and the highlighted content's got a new concept. So I'll just show you really quick. This is kind of, you know, the web part that you can use to show content across multiple sites and from one site to another. And this is your roll-up web part. Highlight content's really, really powerful. And so right now I just said in all sites, show me all documents. I can add filters to it, and I can say, you know, maybe show me the most popular documents in all my sites and show them as a list, and, you know, decide how you want to see them. I had a customer yesterday that it was pretty funny that, you know, had this web part similar like this on one of their pages. That it's just a bunch of like financial documents, so they're not that interesting looking. So it was kind of, I was just telling her, well, you know, Microsoft thinks that everybody has all these really lovely files in all of their document libraries, that so that's the default, is to have them be these big pretty tiles. Oh, okay. Thanks, Joel. Joel's giving me some tips. Let's see. I'm reading what Lisa Joe said. Just updated page on training site. Putting a Power Apps web part in the vertical, the class description registration process. Oh, nice. So she put a Power App web part over here as, you know, little over on the side for people to register for something. That's pretty slick. That's a good idea. The 1/3 right layout is different because the 1/3 right, I'm answering another question. The 1/3 right didn't ever go all the way to the right. So I'll kind of show you, I'll visually show you this. Let me delete this one, and I'll change this to be 1/3 right. You lose a bunch of real estate. So let me go ahead and put my like my quick links over here. Okay, so here's that's my 1/3 right layout. You lose a lot of real estate, right? That is definitely different than what it looks like when you add a vertical section. So when you add the vertical section, it puts it way over to the right, and you gain more real estate on your page. So you gain at least, like, I don't know, an inch or two over here. So I can take this and move it over here, and then I could just switch this to be back to being just one column. Or I could do, what happens if I do, yeah, so if I do 1/3 left, then it kind of is 3 columns across. But again, you get more real estate across the whole page when you use the vertical one. Thanks, Steve, for putting the link to the lookbook out there. And we did do a whole Power Hour about it. Yeah. And Valerie, yeah, you're right. Okay. All right, so let me go back to my one column and talk about the highlighted content web part. So that's, you know, these are the settings we've always had in the highlight content web part. But there's a new setting. Have y'all seen this? The custom query. This is very, very advanced. So the custom query, where did it go? is KQL. So this is, I'll go ahead and send you all a link to, this is the highlighted content web part link. And I'll put that in the general channel where I put links. And then this thing is the keyword query language syntax reference. This thing, put that in the general channel too. That is very advanced. That is for those of you who might remember doing the old content query web part and being able to look at the code and see the query language that it's using when you're building out what specific, very specific things that you want to see in your web part. Then that it's just enter your query text and it has to be that specific syntax. So if you are familiar and used the content query web part before and know what this is, then and you're advanced, then that's what this is for. So first of all, it's the source to be able to pick all sites, or so that's where are you rolling up your content from. So, and even when you select sites, it gives you like some little check boxes if you want to do that. So notice it says this site, and it even says that it's got built in. This is the keyword query language syntax that it's already building in for you, and it shows it to you when you pick this site. That's like the GUID of the site. But if I change it to be a document library or a page library on this site, look what happens. Look at this. It's a camel query. I'm going to change my resolution back because I'm sure this text is really, really tiny for you all. Because we're not using the vertical section. I don't care about the vertical section anymore. Okay. There we go. Probably you can see it better now. Okay, so notice that when you pick a document library or the page library on your site, you have camel query, which is a completely different syntax. So if you already know, if you are only doing, a query of the content on that page, and I'll give you the query schema for that one too. And camel query better than the other one, then feel free to use it. But I think that I personally, Joelle and I, like KQL better. It's an easier syntax. And we're not developers. That's the thing. That's why I said this is very advanced, because you have to know a certain syntax to be able to configure this. So the cool thing is I can still narrow it down. I can't. So if I change it to a document library or page library on this site, I can't. I'm doing camel query, but all the other ones I'm doing KQL. So, and Joelle and I were kind of playing around with trying different syntax in here to still make it point to a specific document library. Let me see. So I'll show you. So path is going to be, Joelle figured it out, of course. So let's go to the other document library where I have some content that I want to see. I'll just go to some other document library. I think I've got some files in here. Yeah, all right. So this is another document library, and I just want to show the files from this one over in my... So even if it's a document library on your current site, or if it's a document library in a completely different site, you can use that path syntax to point to that specific library. So I put all sites so that I can use KQL, and then it says trending pages at the top. I can just call it roll up or whatever I want to call it. But now, see, it's coming from Field Office 22 and it's coming from that specific library. So if you want to do a specific library and you don't want to have to write camel query and you like KQL better, then using the path syntax is what is going to help you out for that. Does that make sense? I mean, it only makes sense probably if you've ever done it, but for those of you who are familiar with that. And then also there is things like some basic stuff that it shows you. Let me go over to here. It shows you some basics on this web page, like author and file type. So if I do, I'll do file type. So I'll go back over here and I just do, so I did path colon that thing and then a space and then file type colon docx and then hit apply. And yep, there it goes. So now look at that. I'm filtering by just that one library, just documents. So it's a pretty simple syntax. You just have to know all these little, the names of all these different sort of properties that you want to query by. So like author, I'll just do Joelle. So now I narrowed it down to only show from that one library, only files with the author of Joelle. And then, let's see. What is this? Let's see, what is this link you sent me? Oh, so okay, so Joelle also said that there is another property called OWS tax ID tax keyword. Let me copy that. She's done like 100 of these, so she'd probably be more eloquent in explaining what this is. But this is going to be for metadata. So that's manage metadata, right? So let me see what this link is that you sent me. Copy. Oh, that's just a link to, okay, that's just a link to where the shared documents were. Just Skype was thought you were trying to send me there. Okay. All right, so then if I want to do a keyword, if I'm using manage metadata, then I can do that. But off the top, Joelle was going to do a demo. Off the top of my head, I don't know any keywords that I'm using in here that I might have one like policy that I know I have manage metadata set up in this tenant, but so I don't have anything in that specific library and that specific author in that file type with a keyword of policy. But let me take off some of these filters and I'll just say anything that's a document with the keyword policy. And look at that. I actually do have a couple of things using that manage metadata. So this is going to be a really good way to get back to using managed metadata, because now you can do roll-ups with it. So did anybody kind of get frustrated and maybe stop doing as many things with roll-ups with content query web parts and managed metadata and using managed metadata at all when, ever since these modern pages came out, because you couldn't do as much with it? If y'all were, does anybody feel like they were kind of stuck like that? Yeah, so that is going to definitely give you the ability to at least get back to what you're doing. What Joelle and I were talking about is hopefully there's a good KQL editor out there somewhere. Because in the actual old classic content query web part, it actually had a visual UI that lets you, drag and draw and kind of pick what fields you wanted and pick your filters and stuff in a nice user interface. And then it generated this query text for you. So if we could have that back, that'd be great. Terry said, can you explain the Stack Overflow? What does that mean? Oh, yeah. Okay, so what am I missing here? All right, I think I got, yeah, so that's what Joelle said to use this keyword SharePoint. Now, what if I want to use 2 keywords? Do I do policy comma SharePoint, or do I do this whole thing twice? It looks like I can do the whole thing twice. It doesn't seem like it's the most efficient way, but yeah, so she tagged these with a keyword of SharePoint. So now I'm seeing them all rolled up. Very cool. So we have like 7 minutes left. Let me see, any questions? User selectable features that choose filters. No, because did the other one have that? No, that would be just going to a library for now. Oh, maybe with search results would be more of like a user selectable feature. I can kind of picture what you're talking about, but they added that, you know, the filter pane in lists and libraries. So you can just go to any list and library and click to show the filter pane and be able to quickly check little boxes next to what you want to filter, which is a huge, huge improvement. And that's been in there for at least a year or two. But I don't know, Joelle. I don't know if Joelle knows, but this query text concept, it would be nice if hopefully we'll be able to, modify the search results page, like have a custom search results page. If you all go to searchexplain.com, that's Agnes. She's another MVP. Her entire business is around Microsoft Search and all this. She knows a ton about this. This is all she does all day, every day. So if you are into search and you want to learn more about search, go to Search Explained. And she's all just right on the bleeding edge of everything going on with search and the updates and kind of ways to do things and ways to do probably a lot of kind of customizations and queries and things. Yeah, you used to be able to edit refiners. Let's see. Oh, you said there's a Stack Overflow icon? Oh, let me see. What is that? There's a Stack Overflow web part. That might be one of those ones that this is one of the things we talked about last week or a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the connector web parts that are only in Office 365 groups. So this particular page that I'm on right now is not an Office 365 group. It's a communication site, but Office 365 groups have a whole bunch like the one that you're mentioning, like Stack Overflow, which just, again, it's just a ton of different third-party services and sites and things like that I'm not going to get in a communication site. I am going to get in a Office 365 team site. Yeah. Let's see. I wonder if I have just the last 4 minutes. I wonder if I have like just an old classic page that I could go to that I have, that I could go look at an old classic web part on. Let me see. This is an old demo site. I think it's even got subsites. Remember those subsites? The old days. Oh yeah, look at that. That's lovely. God, don't those seem so ugly to you now and just so like old-fashioned? Okay, I'm gonna add a web part and add the, where is it? Search driven. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember where it is. Content. I don't even remember where the, oh, you know what? You had to turn on, did you have to turn on publishing to get the content query web part? Was that a thing? I don't even remember. That can't be right. search-driven content, search, probably just search results, right? Okay. All right. So edit the web part. It's like riding a bike, right? I had to do InfoPath the other day, and it was so weird, and I forgot where half the stuff was. And it's like, hey, it's like riding a bike. Okay, change query. So this is the button I was looking for. So this is the old interface for generating your KQL. So see, it lets you pick. See, this is the query text right here. So you could type in the query text, or you could base it on, you know, lists and sites and different things. Anyway, whatever you do your search on, it will generate your query at the bottom. Only return sites. See, when I add that, it said it adds this content class STS web, so that would tell the query to only return sites. And then if I do author, let's see, file type contains or equals docx, then it goes file type equals docx. So there is a difference in the colon and the equals too in the syntax. I don't remember off the top of my head, but so basically this gives you the ability to do a bunch of stuff, refiners and sorting and stuff like that, and it all just adds it to this query text. See, and that would be exactly what you need. That's your KQL that you could use over in the highlighted content web part. So you could just go create or use one of your old classic sites and just throw a page together and use this web part for now, in the meantime, to be able to have sort of a UI for generating your KQL. Let's see. All right, so that wraps up the demo. Oh, y'all, I did something fun last week. I volunteered for this program. It's called Microsoft Teals, T-A-L-S. It's a volunteer program. Let me get the link to it real quick. Microsoft Teals. It's for volunteering in high schools. And so I went to my child's high school. That was fun, right? Let me put that in the general channel. So I signed up for this program and I volunteered. So basically, Microsoft decided that there aren't enough computer science teachers, and so they created this volunteer program so that computer science professionals, that's me and you, all of you watching, can actually go teach computer science classes and go volunteer, not have to teach every class, but go volunteer every now and then, take turns with the other volunteers, demonstrating things, teaching them about kind of what you do in the real world, and demonstrating whatever the topic of the day is. So that was fun. So I got to go to my child's high school and follow her around and eat lunch with her, which I think embarrassed her, but but anyway, so the topic was HTTP protocol. Woo, that is so fun, right? That was what they were learning about last week. I'm like, ew. So I just went in and kind of just introduced myself and told them about me and my career and what I do and stuff like that. And that I actually don't have a degree in computer science. And maybe I should have. I didn't go into that field though. But anyway, but then we talked about the HTTP protocol and how just some day-to-day things that are useful, like how to ping, how to use ping plotter, how to use Fiddler, and like hit F12 in the browser and look at the developer tools and look at stuff like that. So that was interesting. So I just went to high school just all day and hung out with the computer science teacher. And that was a lot of fun. So I might do that some more, probably. I want to show them Power Apps. I wish I could teach them Power Apps. I think they'd like it. I don't think the school has, the kids all don't have Office 365 accounts or anything, though. So that's, But anyway, y'all check it out if you have some spare time to go to your local high school and help with the computer science. It's a really fun little program. So. Any last questions? You all are gone. You've exited. um, Again, we have new t-shirts. And people that sign up for our we have a live online class in 2 weeks, the Advanced Power Apps and Flow. Check it out, iwmentor.com. And hopefully also I will see you at Microsoft Ignite in November this year over in Orlando. And I'll be giving some of these t-shirts out. Cool. Thanks everybody for coming. That was a fun one. Except for the weirdness with the resolution. Good troubleshooting though. Yeah, they do seem to want to teach Python, but there are definitely a lot of there are a lot of fundamentals they need to learn before they even get to the programming, but they definitely are. That's what the kids want to do. They want to program. As long as they learn logic and concepts like logic and conditions and actions and all that, it'll carry across to where, whatever direction they go. Oh yeah, Ignite sold out. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.